issues.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're just faced with budget issues, and that becomes a challenge, a great challenge, a huge challenge. Also, too, when your ministry grows and you're trying to reach out to other communities, and your church is growing and is growing, and now the equipment that you have, the 2 cameras that you have, now you have to increase that to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but there's no budget for it.
Right. Right.
You know, that's a huge challenge, and you have to work with what you have.
Right. Now, talk a little bit about the flip side of that too. When I think about the production mindset, a lot that come into a ministry at a church may not have a production mindset at all. They may have a ministry mindset, maybe so, maybe not. But some may come in and expect that if service starts at 10 o'clock, they can kind of come in at 10 o'clock and get rolling, not really having the experience or the mindset from a production standpoint that things have to be set in place first.
Right.
Talk a little bit about, have you experienced any of that at all?
Well, we kind of set the rules up front. Yeah, but that is a challenge, nonetheless.
Yeah.
We have dealt with that, and sometimes you can become, even not even being new to the ministry, being on the ministry, you can become lax.
True.
At times. So yes, that becomes a challenge as far as the mindset. But as my duties as a leader, ministry lead, you constantly have to be kind of sort of repetitive at times, and reiterating, you know, what are our goals, what is the vision, and what are we here to do, and why we have to do it in that manner.
Right.
The best thing to do with that is to actually take your ministry or your team, your crew, and actually go to maybe a television station and actually see how they get it done every day.
Yeah.
As opposed from week to week.
Right.
How they do it every single day.
Right.
And how we, as the body of Christ, we're the kingdom, we're supposed to surpass all of that. So if the world can operate this way, we should be operating twice is better,
right,
and stronger. So it's just trying to infuse, you have to constantly infuse that mindset, the production mindset. So we have to have training. We have to have meetings, keeping the level of communication constantly going. You have to have that, especially dealing with a group of volunteers. You have to communicate that to them. It is a challenge at times when you have persons who come in with no experience whatsoever. But after a while, they say that it takes at least 7 to 8 times repeating the same thing for people to actually get it or to hear what you're saying. So as a ministry lead and gathering a team and building a team, you have to continuously reiterate those things. That production for us is always an hour prior to service time. That's production. Let's start thinking production. Communicate, talk. Talk television. We're in a television ministry, but we don't talk television. That's a problem. We should be talking television. We should be talking what we do daily with one another. So we have to do that.
So what would you suggest to maybe another church that's trying to start a video or television ministry and they're having trouble with that specific challenge, developing a production mindset from the volunteers that have agreed to kind of start this ministry or propel it forward, move it forward, and they're kind of struggling with that particular point? What would you suggest?
Well, what I would suggest is if you're doing television, surround yourself around the components and elements of television. Research television. I'm pretty sure that in those local areas, that the television stations will do a tour. Go take the team there, talk television, read about television. If you, well, we're in a day and age and everything is on the computer, on the internet, the social networks. Continue to communicate those things about television. As a ministry lead trying to build, that particular ministry lead has to submerge themselves in the area that they're trying to build.
Right, basically putting your work in.
Put your work in. Right, getting surrounded by, around it, live it, talk it, eat it. We encourage, you know, at school and a lot of motivational speakers who talk about kids not watching television, that we should turn the television off for our children. They should only watch maybe 4 hours a day or something like that. You know, being in the television ministry, we promote the total opposite of that. Right. We encourage persons and even our youth to watch television. Right. However, with a different mindset. Watch every single thing. Watch other ministries that are on television. Watch their programs. Watch their programs as opposed to what we do here. Yeah. We do challenges every so often. We'll say, watch this person's broadcast, watch this other televangelist's broadcast, watch TBN. Right. Watch what they do, watch the different camera shots. Right. Google certain things regarding video, regarding audio, regarding television in itself. So you have to submerge yourself in what you're doing. Okay. All right. You have to do that.
Talk specifically about administration. When you're forming a technical ministry, what are some of the things you set in place? Leadership position, secretarial, the administration of the whole ministry, and building the pieces of the puzzle.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. With any team, with any crew, with any ministry, you definitely have to have administration in place. You have to have forms. We actually have an application. When persons have an interest in the television ministry, we have an application that they have to fill out. We're asking for basic information, of course, your name, contact information, email information. We actually communicate as a ministry through email. We also have a Facebook page that we have to keep up with. We have a YouTube channel. Okay. So you need all of those components in order to have a well-oiled machine.
Right, definitely. So definitely without those things, you can get a lot of things that fall through the cracks.
Absolutely. Scheduling. We have a person designated to scheduling. If there are any conflicts, actually as the lead, I would review the schedule for the month. Everyone is required to actually comply. Once the email is sent out, we require that every member who's on the schedule to actually just comply and say, hey, I've read it, I acknowledged it, I received it. Everything is good with the schedule. So you definitely need persons in place for that.
Okay. What about leadership? Talk about leadership and how important that is to building any ministry.
Well, you definitely got to have it. Of course, you would have a leader over the entire ministry, but you actually have to have what I like to consider, they're just not leaders, but they're like captains. Number one, it helps take the pressure and the weight off of one person. Okay. Because you definitely can't do it on your own. Right. If you recall, I believe it is in Exodus where Moses, his father-in-law Jethro went to him and told him that, look, you can't do this by yourself. You know, Moses was over millions of people. Right. So he could not do it by himself. And he told his son-in-law that you have to have leaders, other priests, other persons, select those leaders. Yeah. And so they can help you with this ministry. Yeah. So it will take some weight off of you, and you as the actual leader of the ministry, you pour into your leaders, and your leaders will pour into the people.
Right.
So the beginning of this year, actually the end of 2010, it was getting tough for me. It was getting real tough. The walls were closing in on me. It was a strain. It was a burden. And the Spirit led me to that particular scripture in, I believe it is Exodus, where they were out at Mount Sinai, and Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, told him, you cannot do this on your own.
Right.
Select leaders to help you. And you know, after prayer and seeking after God's face, he told me who I needed to go to.
Okay.
So again, I'll go back to one of my statements I made earlier, that this ministry isn't mine, but it can become a weight if you try to make it yours.
Right.
So it was becoming a burden, and I had to be reminded that this ministry didn't belong to me. I'm just a steward.
So with that said, when you talk about the expectations of church leaders, whether it's a pastor or an administrator of the church, someone who's entrusted you to build or develop a ministry, what would you say to others who have been entrusted to do so? How do they deal with the expectations of the church leadership, or what should church leadership expect when starting a ministry, maybe from scratch? What are some of the expectations that should happen? Should they expect results right away? Should they expect to be on television, 2 months from starting a video ministry? What are some of those expectations?
Well, I guess it's from place to place, wherever you go. But one of the expectations should be is that nothing happens overnight.
Definitely.
Nothing happens overnight. It's always progressive. It's always a process. You will get to one step at a time. You may have to crawl. Some people may start off walking. And to get to the race to run, you may have to walk a long way at first. And then once you leveled out, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, because on both sides, the ministry or the executives or the administration, they're growing. So as they grow, we have to grow and catch up to it as well. So the expectation is that it's not going to happen right away. We're not going to get all of the kinks out. You will forever have kinks. You will forever, whenever you're dealing with equipment, something with a circuit and currency running through it, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have challenges. Understanding those challenges, making sure that that people make mistakes. That is an expectation. Expect that I don't know everything. However, my job and my duty is to find out and to research what these issues are. The expectation is also, from my perspective, is to keep the lines of communication open. I do understand, and these are for persons who are starting off. Understand that in ministry, things are subject to change at a drop of a hat. And the expectation on the other end is for you to make it happen right away. Right away. Also, too, from my perspective, is don't wear your feelings on your shirt sleeve. It's not about you. It's not about you. Some days it's kind of, painful. You're behind the scenes. You get dirty. But don't have an expectation of being outwardly rewarded often.
Oh, definitely.
Don't have an expectation that your name will be called when something good is done.
Right.
But have an expectation your name will definitely be called
Yeah.
when something goes wrong.
All right. Definitely. Definitely.
Let them feel that they are important and needed.
Okay. Touch a little bit about budget. Now, of course, you know that parts of this broadcast will reach people in South Africa and other countries, and the internet is wide open, so it can go anywhere. But talk to those who may be listening from a third world country where the budgets aren't normally what they are here in the United States, and
Right.
or just talk to the smaller church that may have a smaller budget and are trying to be effective in that area, but don't always have yearly budgets or the means to purchase equipment all the time.
Well, what I have to say to those individuals in those communities, you have, of course, you have all types of ministries, large, small, just starting off, some running on one leg.
Right.
The one thing I will have to say to that is be a good steward over what you have. Make it work. Make it work. Understand, again, I'll say it again. This is not your ministry. God knows what he started in your area, in your community, on your block, in your pastor. He knows what he started. He will give the provision for it. Whatever you have, if you have one camera, make sure that you do everything in excellence. Low budget, no budget. If you're borrowing a camera, or equipment, make sure that your production is the best it could ever be with what you have. It doesn't matter the budget. We see that Jesus fed the 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. He made it. He took little and made much out of it. And that is what we have to do in those areas where we have little to no budget. Take the little that you have, make the best out of it. Learn the equipment that you have. Go on the internet. The internet, it's the World Wide Web. That's what www stands for.
That's it. Yep.
Go on the World Wide Web. Google that equipment. Learn it. We have equipment that we've had for so long, and we're not even using 80% of its capabilities. Because we don't know about the functions that it can do. So learn what you have. Use what you have to its fullest capabilities. Push it to the limits. Make sure that your production is top notch where you are. Study your craft. Study other ministries that's doing it. And you will see that if you're a good steward over the production piece of it, God will give and provide the increase for you to add, for it to be multiplied, added to, multiplied. And he'll make provisions for you.